Hello, my name is Chris and I work here at WeND. I'm going to give you a demonstration of our tide clock. Let's get started, shall we? After plugging in the clock, we are greeted with the opening screen, which lasts just a couple seconds. There are four main display screens, and the first one we'll look at is the main tide clock screen. As you can see, there's quite a bit of information on this screen, so I'll walk you through it. The current time and date are displayed in the middle of the screen. The current time is 12:31 p.m. and it's June 18th, 2016. These arrows indicate that the tide is rising. As you can see, the previous low tide was at 8:06 a.m. this morning, and the tide is rising to 2 feet at 3:30 p.m. This line indicates the current tide level of 1.3 feet. How much time will it take for the tide to rise from its current level of 1.3 feet to 2 feet? That is indicated here above the time, 2 hours and 58 minutes. This screen also shows us the highest and lowest tides of all time at this site. And by all time, I mean over the 20 years that we have tide data. The highest tide at this site over that 20-year period is 2.8 feet. And the lowest tide at this site over that period is minus 0.5 feet. On the right, there are a number of percentages. These percentages represent how high the water is relative to the minimum tide. So the low tide is at 10% above the minimum. The current tide level is at 54% above the minimum. And the next high tide will be at 78% above the minimum. 100% would represent 2.8 feet. Let's have a look at the next screen by pressing the icon in the bottom left-hand corner. This is the tide table screen. You may have seen published tide tables similar to this. This screen shows the prior tide, the current time, and high tides and low tides going out from today into future days. By pressing the forward icon at the bottom of the screen, we can move to a future day. By hitting reverse icon, we can go backwards to previous days. If we'd like to jump to a particular day, then hold the forward or back icon down for 2 seconds and release. And that will take us to a screen that we can select a date that we'd like to view. Or we can press today. Let's continue on to the next screen. This is the tide graph screen. This gives you the tide height throughout the day in a graphical format. If you look along the bottom of the screen, you'll see times throughout the day. The green line represents the tide height at that time. High tides and low tides are clearly listed. In addition to the high tides and low tides, we see the minimum and maximum tides of all time. In the top area, we see the current time, and below that, the current tide height, indicated by this white line. Also, this white line on the graph. In addition to the tide information, we get sunrise and sunset, and of course the date. Speaking of the date, we can change that by using the forward icon here at the bottom of the screen. Pressing the icon will move the screen one day into the future. Pressing the back button will go into the past. If you would like to set any date, hold the forward button down for 2 seconds and release. Then you can select any date you want, or today. Let's go on to the next screen. This is the aquarium screen. This is our most decorative screen and a nice one to have up on your wall. As you can see, this screen also provides tide information. The current tide height is 1.3 feet. The tide is going up, and the next high tide is at 2.0 feet at 3:30 p.m. and that is the line for the next high tide. Now, just a note, it's a little difficult to get a good film of an LCD screen, and the colors are much more vivid on the actual tide clock than this. But this gives you an idea of what the aquarium scene would look like. Let's just watch this aquarium for a bit and see what swims by. That's all for now. Thank you for watching our demo and have a great day.